Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery, and today we have a very special guest, Damon Nelson, and his partner Wayne, and they're going to be talking about the Minion builders, which is something that I think is incredibly important, especially now. I personally have been looking for some good account providers, but recently for some various projects that I'm working on, and having to build the persona up for a profile is a tedious process, at least the manual way, which is kind of how my team and I have been doing it for years. And I've heard some really, really good things about what Damon is going to be sharing today from one of our longtime members, Walt Nelson. And so I realized it was something that we should absolutely bring to our audience, especially for our Syndication Academy members. And so I'm really excited about this. So Damon, welcome.
Well, thank you.
And Wayne, welcome to you as well. I didn't want to leave you out, buddy.
Yeah, no worries. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Yep.
So, Damon, I guess I'll hand it over to you. Is there, you let us know what you're going to get into today.
Okay, that's perfect. Today, guys, it's going to be a little bit of training. We're going to show you a little software demo, and then we've got some ideas on how to make minions. And Bradley hit the nail on the head. It is time consuming to make minions if you do it right. And you don't want to spend your time doing it wrong because they're going to get canceled. The biggest thing right now is the reverification. Is you want to keep reverifications to a minimum. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's difficult if Google is staring at you all the time because Google is passing data. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how do you protect it? How do you make your minions? How do you make them so lifelike that even our standard is we make a minion so lifelike, even my mom would like it. So that's what we're going to try to do today is give you a little training and hopefully you can take it and run with it. Especially if you got the IFTTT networks built, this is going to be an add-on value for you. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to let Wayne answer questions, and y'all just interrupt me if we need to. Yep.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay. So Google has prying eyes. That's kind of what we're going to talk about, and they're everywhere. And I have to mention this is, if you use any Google products, when you sign the terms of services, they can look at what's inside your Google Sheets, your Google Slides, your Google Word docs. So just be conscientious about what you put on Google properties. So let's start with Ann Clark. Ann is age 59. She's a school teacher, a grandmother, lives in Frisco, Texas. She's a quilter and she participates in all types of social activities. And she was just getting onto Facebook. Her grandkids wanted her on Facebook. So this is the persona I made. Spent a little bit of time finding the right profile, kind of describing her. And I go to maybe the extreme is I want to write a story about this person before I put them into a social environment. And it makes it so much easier to build a profile, to show what content's going to go in there. And it makes these profiles clickable. This is not a model. She's not a super influencer, but she's going to have things to say and opinions and comments. And this is the person I want to put on there. The only problem is Google didn't like her. And Google didn't like her and Facebook didn't like her. Here's what happened is I got some VAs working for me and I started sharing, I had everything on Excel spreadsheets, which kind of makes it difficult because you want images, you want a bio, you want everything. And then you want to be able to share the login information in any personal data. You want to be able to share it with your VAs. Well, we were passing Excel spreadsheets all across the world and we'd have different versions, different images, and it was just a pain in the butt. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to put it on Google Sheets. That makes it a lot easier. We all share the same sheet and we have current versions. I had about 50 minions on a Google Sheet that I imported from my Excel spreadsheet. Within days, I started getting reverification requests through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And I added Ann Clark straight into a Google Sheet. Before I even got through my Facebook setup of this account for Ann, she was already banned. I went over to Twitter. She was already banned. Well, she got approved, but then they disapproved her. So the only thing in common that we had was she was sitting on Google Sheets. So if you're trying to build a team of social personas, or minions, as we call them, to help with your marketing, your products, or even your clients, be careful with how you share that database. If it's on Google Sheets, you've signed the terms of service early on when you got your Google account, you've given them permission to look. That data is shared. And I thought it was just that one rare instance. I started looking at the new ones that we were putting on Google Sheets, same stuff was happening. And every time we go in to open up one of these social accounts, we were getting reverification requests like we've never seen before. And guys, when you get reverification requests, most of the time, send me a text to my mobile phone. Well, we got SIM cards. And so we could kind of get past that. But when they want to see a driver's license or a photo ID, a government photo ID, I'm not going to fake one of those. So I consider that account pretty much dead. That's what Facebook is going to, is a photo ID. That's their highest form of reverification. If you can't provide that, then they just ban your account. They close it down. So if you've got pages, groups, anything that you've built, you spent time developing it out, you've lost all that. So keep that in mind. Sharing data publicly on an online, you're not even sharing publicly, you're just sharing within a property of Google, and it can cost you a lot of time and a lot of money. So as just kind of restating, we were using Google Sheets and discovered this is the verification process. So I got with Wayne, I said, we're building social traffic. We need to keep building minions to build social traffics, build our Facebook groups, build our Instagram profiles. And we're also using Jarvee and some other tools for social engagement. And the problem is we got VAs. Nobody all works in the same office anymore. Even if you did, you'd still have a database that you'd share. So to share information back and forth, we needed a database. And that's what Wayne put together as a SaaS application that is a private database. But we took it one step further. In fact, we took it 3 steps further with what I'm going to show you today. So we wanted to help our VA team quickly build lifelike personas, while at the same time hiding those profiles from Google and being able to share it easily online. And we wanted to have unique social personas that we can modify if we wanted to, but we wanted to not start from scratch, but start with a couple of clicks of a button and have profiles, demographics, bios, even locations where they live, and street addresses. You can get all this, but it takes about 5 different places to go to get this. So we wanted to take what normally would take an hour to write a good story, a bio, and a demographic, and bring in a profile photo, take that hour and make it into about a 60-second process. So that's what Wayne's done for us. What do we use these for? Well, they are our social accounts that we build Facebook pages on. We build Instagram accounts. We build Twitter. We have a lot of Twitter accounts set up. We also have some IFTTT links, and I'm also doing Social Bee, Buffer, and Hootsuite. So I do a lot of social posting with the tools that we have, including RSS Masher and Q, Buffer, and we do we got Feedly, where we'll do some posting out of there. So we're trying to send good content, interesting content, viral content to our social networks, because that's what we want to be. We want to be social. We want to get engagement. So if you're having issues with organic traffic, we kind of just bypassed it. Is we get social traffic, not organic traffic. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today, but today is about how do you create these personas? Well, you want to see the solution. Give me a yes if you're ready to see the solution.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Now, before we get to the demo, I wanted to kind of do why minions. And I had this little special math table that we're going to use. And so we're going to call it Minion Math. So if you're going to hire somebody, and Bradley, you could probably talk about this too, it's about building a marketing agency, is you have to hire people occasionally to build your agency. I used to have a marketing agency with about 10 employees. Now, I wasn't paying these numbers, but I was getting close. So an average today, a senior social media manager is making about 63 grand a year. It can be high as about $90,000. Entry-level jobs start out around 32,000. That's if you're getting somebody with a college degree and less than 2 years of social media marketing. That's, you start adding it up. But then by the time you put in, they're going to work in a major market, which is Dallas, Houston, Austin, any of the major markets in Texas, especially Austin is driving the cost up. But if you're giving them benefits, insurance, any type of 401k plan, you've taken that 32,000 up to 42,000, which includes your tax, payroll tax, and everything. That comes out to 3,500 a month or $875 a week. So this is how it breaks down in math. I started watching what my guys did. So when we were building social media accounts for our clients and doing social engagement, we had profile maintenance. This was the setup. This was, the demographic, the bio, making sure everything's running right. Content creation, we spent about 12 hours a week on. So what I did was I took the 875 and just divided by the number of hours per week and multiplied it. So that comes out to about $132 every week was spent on content. Scheduling, we were using different scheduling tools, not to the extent that we have available today, but it was still about 4 hours worth of work. They would fill in their time slots with scheduling, and now scheduling is almost automated. Social engagements, this took a lot of time. Likes, comments, shares, retweeting. So this was about 8 hours a week. So about $88 a week was spent there. And 2 hours per week was spent on client feedback. And really, I don't think all this adds up. I need to redo my math. I think it's more expensive at $875 per week. But this is what I also found out, where they actually spent time looking at their own social media accounts and they did their own stuff within that 40-hour work week. Came out to about 10 hours per week. So about $88 per week was spent paying them to do their own stuff. I thought, well, I don't really want to just be the feed trough for people, young people coming in, I'm building a marketing agency, but they're also building their own social profile, their own resumes. And what would happen was a client would get comfortable with one of my social media marketers, and then they'd end up hiring them away from me, or they would put them on contract. And I had a non-compete, but really you can't enforce that much in Texas. So I started thinking, well, I need to just scale everything down. And that's what I did. I basically went down to me and a couple of VAs. And then I started doing software development. And I've always built minions of some type because I use them for different things. But I got rid of this really expensive cost. You take $875 a week times, I had 10 at one time. That's a big payroll you have every week you have to pay for through your clients. So I reduced I basically got rid of my staff. So I also reduced the number of clients I had, but I went to really good clients that I could automate a lot of their stuff. So I use several tools, profile maintenance. I use Minion Builders. I also use I've got a couple of VAs working for me. That's why we need a database to share all this data. How do we create content? Well, I write some of my own blog posts, but I also pay a few writers out there. I don't pay a lot of money for them, but I use RSS Master. I use this program called Q, and I use Feedly to bring in articles also. So I've got my content pretty well tuned in going into the social sites. Now, I schedule it through Zapier. IFTTT, or I use Buffer and I use SocialBee as my content scheduling. All this can be automated. How do I get engagement? Well, I have one VA working on engagement. I also use a program called Jarvie. In Jarvie, I use it to scroll up and down a Facebook timeline, or scroll up and down a Twitter timeline. So it shows some activity. I also like, share, retweet, comment, and do a lot of automated engagement through Jarvie. And then we'll actually do custom posting or custom comments and responses through a VA, or I'll pick them up. So she'll send me, can you answer this ticket, or can you answer this Facebook post for me? So I'll do some of the commenting myself, but for the most part, we have a lot of it's automated. And here's what was really getting me, and I should have learned early on, is I allowed my social coordinators to do client feedback. So the client was talking to my social coordinator instead of talking to me. So that made the connection for the hire. So now I do all the contact with my clients, and I submit them automated reports from a lot of these services here. My scheduling services, they do most of the automated reports, but I compile it back in through Zapier to put it into a nice Google Sheet. But there are no personal stuff issues. I can have, I've got about 3 VAs that I'm paying, they're averaging about $600 per month. They still work 40 hours a week. I don't care if they're down here doing personal stuff, because I know my VAs, they actually probably put in a good 45 to 50 hours with me, and they're doing the stuff I don't really want to do, but they're making sure that the automation systems are all working. And so if anything goes down, we can always pick it up. Sometimes the VA, I've got a local VA, she does a lot of the site builds for me. So I try to advance them out of social maintenance and social engagement to actually doing DFY site builds, both for us and for clients coming in. So this is the Minion Math. It doesn't cost me anything. I mean, it costs me very little to maintain my VAs compared to what I used to do. But here was the big problem. What happens when a person leaves your business if they've been doing any social engagement for you? Well, you get their stylus and their engagement processing goes away, but they have been responding as themselves in my social network. So when they go away, that person basically goes away, it leaves. Well, in the case of Minions, they don't leave. They're always with me as long as I re-verify them if I get requested, and they can say whatever I want them to say, or promote whatever I want them to promote. And I don't have to worry about them going out doing other things because I'm in control of my fake personas. Okay. With that in mind, let's hop to the demo, and I want to show you how we built it and why we built it in the way that we did. Let's go here. Okay. This is it's called Minion Builders, and it's a database. And I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And if you're familiar with any of our products, we lay them out in the same where we have a left-hand sidebar, kind of members area, and training Facebook group. But I am going to go in and create a minion. Now I do have the Minion database is right here. So really what you have to do is create and manage, create, manage. So let's go back up to create. And I want to get some social media workers that work in the United States. And these are the areas that we have, the country regions. This is where it will give you an address from either United States or Canada if you select America. So I'm going to go United States. Let's do a female, and my social media, we're usually like 24 to about 33. Okay, I'll hit filter. Now, what we do is we have a database that we pull from. All these are unique names, addresses, cities, and states. Once you select it, that name will never be available to anybody else in the database. I think we have over 200,000 or 300,000 names in the database. So I'm going to select, let's go with Kathy Hastings. She's from Independence, Ohio. That's her zip code. She's 30 years old. And we can group it. So this is more organized. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to put her in client group K. And status, she's brand new, but I can choose whatever status. And these statuses and groups are all set up so you can customize however you want to organize it. Some people organize by web domain, some organized by client, and some even just organized by the phone number it's attached to the SIM card. So I'm going to copy that selected minion. Okay, so she's gone. She's taken out of the database. Now, if I wanted another one, I could either pull from that or I can pull up 5 more. And let's just go ahead and do Cynthia Ledoux, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And let's go ahead and put her in client group K. Okay, so we just brought 2 over. We just created 2 minions. So what do you get with the minions? Let's go over to My Minions. We're in the database. And we sort by the oldest to the newest. And with all our data tables, you can sort just by clicking here. So I'm going to go down to the very last ones here. Let's see, page 7. Back to page 1. There we go. Okay, there's the 2 ladies I just selected with. So let's go into Cynthia and let's see what she has there. I'm going to go edit. Now look at this. We've got all this information and you can copy it. You can change it if you want. Let's give her a middle initial of T. You can change last name and we give you a street address that's in Philadelphia. I don't know whether it's a house or property or what's on that street address, but you could certainly change it. Zip code matches up with the street address. So we're starting to build some background information. Now, she works for a company called, and I'm just going to make it abbreviated, Semantic Mastery. Okay. What college did she go to? Well, she went to, let's go and make her from UCLA. She is not a certified athletic trainer, but I'm going to make her a social agent. And company, Bradley will just use Semantic Mastery here. Okay. Now you could put her address with the website. So this is what we kind of do is we have some website addresses attached to our master sites, our WordPress sites. So let's just pretend like it's semantic.com. You can always come in and change this. Now, if you wanted to, you could put in what email provider you're using, even the email domain password. This is a fake phone number, but sometimes you don't even need a phone number if you're just filling out information for a persona or making this like a buyer avatar. So anyway, we put one in there. You can always change it out and select the niche. Now, this is where it starts getting into, we need a bio. We need to tell a story about the person that we're building. So I'm going to start off, yeah, she's a blogger, but here's some of the choices. We keep adding choices. So anything in black is the personal bio. Anything in blue is the corporate bio. So we got blogger, virtual assistant, graphic designer. Let's make her a blogger. So I'm Cynthia, I write for a Semantic. I love to travel, enjoy being outside, such as hiking or in the coffee shop. My favorite part about the blog is that you get to talk about anything. Okay, that's okay. It's not, you can always improve upon it and just by typing it in here. She can be exploring the city, eating everything. Okay, let's go ahead and lock this one in. And I'm going to vary this one. So I'm just going to hit build bios again. And we have this spinning up. Okay, so Semantic Mastery employs me as an online marketing. Okay, cool. I'm just going to use that. I've locked these in. I can't edit or change them unless I unlock them. Now let's get a corporate bio. And let's call it a marketing agency. So I'm going to build this one. Helping local bit get found online. What? That sounds pretty decent. So I'm going to lock that one in. Again, if you want to change it, unlock it, edit it, and birth date. Now you can change this and change her age. So I'm going to, let's make her a little bit older than 24. So I'll just pick a new date. We updated the age and tropical zodiac. Now, why do you need all this information? Well, when you're doing social engagement, you could always say, hey, I'm a Virgo, and I'm a Virgo, I live in Philadelphia, and I love playing soccer and skateboarding, or, whatever. So this gives you content that you could talk about. How many Virgos are out there? So, not necessarily are you going to be talking about your zodiac sign, but it's one post that you can make for engagement. Now, if you're using a proxy, this is part of the database. You can put in the proxy that you're using right there. Now, we're going to start making this real. We're going to go to, we have an API in with this person does not exist. So I'm going to start trying to generate a good image for Cynthia. I hit a good image right on the first one. And what I'm always looking for is she looking at the camera? Does she have a smile? Would somebody want to like or friend her? She is a very inviting person. It's kind of the way and I have a background that I can edit a little bit. I can remove the background. Now this part may be a little tough, but for right now, let's go ahead and lock our photo in. Now, if you want to bring in your own photo, you would just browse your computer and then upload it. So this is a pretty good one. So I'll just lock it in. Okay. Now it says image locked and move to images tab. Again, we can change the status if we wanted to at this point. Need email and socials. I'll hit update. Okay. Now what we've just done is we put the image in here. This is her main profile. Now guys, if you're using this person does not exist, you will never be able to find this person ever again, no matter how many times you spin it up. The reason is they have their algorithm is set so I think there's like 300 data points that they rotate parts and pieces of faces to build a face. So you will never get the same person ever again. So that's why you want to lock it in. Okay. Now you could be done here if you wanted to, but we have a complete set of other details. A fake username, fake password to get you started. These are things that you don't have to think about. If you just want to use a password already made, it's in your database. Mother's maiden name. Some of the socials, they want some additional content. What's your mother's maiden name? What vehicle type? You could put, we even have blood type and weight. She weighs 176 pounds. It's probably more like 126 pounds. So these are things that I'm thinking of when I'm going to write a description. She's 5'2". That works. And we convert these into metric also for you. Okay. Latitude and longitude. You can put that in there. We have I asked Wayne to put Send Creator because I have a Send Creator account. Google Voice number. If you want to put a Google Voice number in there, you can certainly do that at that time. Now, this gets into more of the demographic and the psychographic of the person is children's names, spouses' names. This makes them more real. So she just got married a couple of years ago, and his name is Tom. They have no kids yet. And hobbies, let's just go ahead and give them walks, hiking, cycling. So I can kind of start seeing some things here about, who does she hang out with? What type of sports would she be in? Social pages. So you could put, she hangs out on Reddit, Instagram, and Facebook. She does watch Fox News and CNN. Okay. She's kind of in the center. AdSense, does she have an AdSense account? I put that in there because if you're starting to build your social accounts, you may want a separate Google AdSense to do promotions with. So that's when it would come in. Now notes, you can type anything that you want in here. It's just notes for yourself and your VA. So you can kind of talk about this person and build the story up on the person. And again, you can copy any of this. So this is like a second page of bio demographic for you. Now, here's where the social accounts come in. I'm going to hit add. And we have all these that you could type in. So let's just do Facebook. And I'm not going to build a Facebook account directly. Our site is not set up to go out to Facebook and create the account. We still believe a manual process of building these accounts is the safest, securest way to build a good profile. There are auto builders out there. Everyone I've used, the accounts are either turn bad within the first week, and most of them turn bad within 30 days because there's a footprint with these account builders. So anyway, what her username is, let's just call her Cynthia Social. Okay. And then what email she's using. Again, you put in any email that you want, and we would put in a real email and a real password that we're going to be using to log into Facebook. So as we set this up, social status, let's make it active. So I would put in everything that I just used to create that Facebook account. And again, I'm going to go in and same for Twitter. And let's just call it, keep it saying Cynthia Social is going to be her URL. And this is really where you would put the URL to log in to her account. And let's just call her Cynthia Social. And it's probably 21. And, you know, of course, you put the email and password, you know, with whatever you use to create the Twitter account. And then I would make that active. And you could have multiple Facebook accounts, multiple Twitter accounts. And if you needed to, you can hit reveal password or you can turn it off. Okay. So that is how you would, this is the database. I know it looks very simple and it really is. But the thing is nobody sees this except for you and your VA. Whoever you share your database with is the only people that can see it. Google cannot. And it is online. So anybody that has the access that you would set up here for the user would have access here. Okay. Now, let's talk about the fun part of Cynthia Ledoux and her social profile. Guys, I learned a while back, and probably several years ago, is if you have one profile photo, which you can get on this person does not exist, and you don't change that profile photo, it's an indication to your social networks that you're not a real person. And they've started saying, I need more, I need another image, I need another profile photo. So what I've done, I started doing this a couple of years ago, is I would take this image and go to my phone app and I would create a whole bunch of different looks and images from all these photo editing apps. And we would have, it would be the same image, but I would flip it. I would take the background away, make her smile more, or do some fun stuff with it. So what we did was we actually built some of these in here for you. And one of the other things we have is a QR code maker. Why do you need that? Well, if you want to put this on your phone, you just hold your phone up there and scan it, and it moves the image into your phone. It's that easy. Or you can click there, and this is we store this in an image receptacle. So you can actually use this URL link in your Twitter, in your Facebook. You don't have to put it onto your hard drive, which that was one of the other things is when we save profiles, it could be on my hard drive, it could be on their hard drive, the VAs, and we were losing images. You know, where did you save that image? So all the images, you don't have to worry about saving. They're all saved automatically online for you. Okay, so let's do some fun stuff. This is highlighted. So what I'm going to do is let's just do a mirror effect. Okay. Now that doesn't look much different. She's just looking in a different direction. However, Google's face algorithm is, we've just thrown it off because the data points for this page, for this profile, are now completely reversed. And if I do something with this, Google and Facebook can't really tell this is the same person because of their data point algorithm that they use to identify face recognitions. Now they're getting better. Of course, Facebook is getting really well with it, but let's give her a surprise look. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get some different profile images that we can swap out, and we don't really even have to think about it. Okay, that looks okay. I mean, it's big eyes there. But what happens if we turn this into a caricature? Now we have an image credit because we have to pay for these, so very, very minimal cost on this. But based on, if you decide to add this, based on what level you pick up, it's the number of credits that you get. This looks really good. In fact, I like that. That's a good caricature. And again, you can flip it back, but this image, if I go in here, the data points are, Facebook would not be able to match up data points at this point in time. Or with that, but you can use this as your profile image on any of your social networks. Again, you're just rotating variety in there. And let's say you wanted to build a QR code. That's how easy it is. And now it's getting close to Halloween. So let's go back up to the original and let's make her a zombie. Now, why would you need this? Well, it is getting close to Halloween, and you want to be able to have fun as a minion. You want to be social. So what happens if you post that as your profile image? You're guaranteed to get engagement. This is one of the easiest ways to get engagement with a social profile is zombify. And say, this is what I would look like if I was part of the Walking Dead team. Or I'll go ahead and store that. And then you could also tunify that person. So we kind of give you some things that you can do with the images. Hey, that looks pretty neat. So I'm going to hit store. Okay. And let's go into this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the background. Now, all these are saved as JPEG. So it makes it a little bit smaller file size for you. But the remove background is we converted it into PNG. This is the one that takes a little bit of time. It's maybe about 10 seconds to do. But once you remove the background, then we have some background images that you can put behind it. Okay, and it's not perfect, but I'm going to use some background images that may kind of diffuse that little gray spot there. Now you could always bring it into a photo editor and clean it up if you wanted to. So I'm going to hit store image. Okay, now this is the PNG. This is the one I want to change background. So I'm going to just go, let's go on down and we'll use like maybe a classroom. Change background. Okay. And you could kind of see you can do this with just about any of the images here. Let's go. Maybe a Halloween background also. That's not very scary. So anyway, you could sit here and create dozens of profile images. And what the nice thing is they're all set up ready to go. You don't have to do anything or think about this, but this image you'll always be able to build on top of this image by doing it that way. So once you're set with profiles, you basically are ready to start creating your social accounts inside your database. And you can use whatever images you want. And in fact, what I typically do is I will load up, I'll make sure I've got that one up. And maybe maybe one more. And so as I'm creating Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts, I may use different profile images. I may not use the exact same profile image with it. But if you wanted to bring in some very customized images with a photo editor, just go up here and you would browse and then you can upload it. Now we have a little bit of training on, we can even take this image here and we can actually animate it so where her eyes are blinking, she's smiling a little bit. And we've got some training on how to do that, but it makes it into like a little GIF, but her head's turning. It's a really neat effect. It's not our software, but we take this image and we place it in the other software. I think it's like Family Tree or something like that. Wayne, can you look up that? I forgot what the name. We'll come back and visit that later.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now, let's take this one step further. Guys, if you have customers, you sell online, or you even have clients that you're working with that sell online, or even offline, how do you write emails? A good copywriter, to write your emails or write your sales copy or anything, the first thing they want is they want a buyer profile. They want a customer avatar is what they're going to ask you for, because that they really write the article or the email or the sales page to that customer avatar. So this allows you to come in and do a full avatar, family status, set up the background, set up the full demographics, and we're copying everything that's already been established. What language? Yeah, let's say she works English, and residential status. She owns a condo, mortgage. Okay. And then you can set up your hobbies. What does she do in leisure? Her influencers. Who does she follow? Websites, media. So you got a lot of identifiers, her interest levels. How does she communicate? How does she, if she's going to buy something, how does she find that thing that she's going to buy? Does she shop on Amazon or does she go to Walmart? So these are things that you want to put in here to build a full customer avatar. Then you get down here and is she an introvert, extrovert? And let's just move a few of these around. And then you hit update. Now, guys, there are companies out there that pay for these avatars. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to my minions, and I've got group. I'm going to pull up one of our customer avatars that we actually write copy to. Okay, good. Daniel Woods. If you were to ask me, what is your buyer like? Well, this is one of our buyers for one of our software. Now, it's not the same exact person, but I've done a lot of research on this age group, male 30. This is the ones that buy one of our particular software. So we've made a customer avatar. So let's take a look at him. Okay. So he's fully fleshed out on Avatar Maker. He's a content marketer. He's married. He has 2 kids, a girl at 12 and a boy at 9. He went to A&M, Gigamags. He has an MBA. He makes $60,000 a year. He's active parent lifestyle, beautiful wife, kids, sports. Bradley, could you write a story about this guy if you just saw that information?
Yeah, that kind of information gives you kind of like the angles and all that kind of stuff that you could use to write persuasive copy.
Yep. And then you look at his demographics. He's got a 30-year mortgage. That's his location. Here's his hobbies. He spends time with family, busy weekends with friends, in-laws. He follows Russell Brunson, Neil Patel. Oh, he follows me too. Had to add that one in there. Here's his websites. This is where he hangs out. Fox News, Drudge Report, Digital Marketing, Big Penguin Production, YouTube, Udemy. This is his magazines he looks at. So I could actually place an ad in Tiny Homes or Woodworking Magazine, knowing I'm writing to Daniel Woods. Social platforms. What's his political bias? So as you get more and more information, in your mind, you start kind of creating a picture of what this guy is. He's got one dog, a Daisy. Here's his primary news sources, his narrative, goals. This is his goals, ambitions, frustrations, challenges, opportunities. So you have all this. If you're writing this yourself, you could do a great email, because you're not going to write to just a blind audience. You're writing to this person. So our emails, when we started doing avatars, they started getting a lot more effective, a lot more clicks coming into the product itself. Our sales pages were tailored to these. So how can we help this customer to achieve their goals, to overcome their challenges and frustrations? So he wants software that works as described and easy to learn, system results that can be easily shared within his team. So why didn't he buy from you? You need to kind of know these questions too. Is if you offered a new product and he didn't buy it, you know, one of the quickest ways is pick up the phone and say, hey, why didn't you buy it? But there's a lot of data out there in Facebook groups, Reddit subgroups that you can do, that you can go through and kind of define what your avatar does. Plus, the more you know about your customer, and the more you can add into your avatar. Introvert, you know, he's active, he's analytical, he's kind of loyal, friendly, both on the same side. So I'd hit update. Now, what we do is, if you have a client that wants an avatar made, what do you give the client when you're done here with this? Well, when I had a marketing agency, I was paying for these avatars to be built by other marketing agencies. And the reason is I wanted them to have a very fresh perspective on looking at them. But this is what they gave me. This is the background, demographics, interest, and identifiers, bio. This is the document that you would hand off to your client right here, or to your copywriter. Your copywriter can do a lot of stuff with this one little page identifier. Now, if you're writing copy yourself, well, let's look at some of the other things. We've got a couple of infographics that we've got about 6 different reports. So you could have this on your desk. You could have it on the bulletin board. So whenever you're thinking about the software, the product, the service, the consulting that you're doing, you can always refer back to Daniel. He's a content marketing professional, and here's what his goals and frustrations are. So you could always have this in front of you, so you know this is the person that you're selling to. And you could have multiple buyers. In fact, our RSS Master product, I would say Daniel is not that person. And we have a Larry Nelson that we refer to a lot. And Wayne and I, when we refer to, is the software intuitive enough for Larry Nelson? Can he take the software and run with it without a lot of training? So we have to program for a Larry Nelson. So these are really helpful to have sitting around. Okay. So this is one of the things that you can do besides even building minions, is build avatars for your customers. Now, we have also a marketplace that we just opened last week. In fact, where I had one sell, I know this was mine because somebody bought a demo that I did and I had some images with it. But you can list your avatars in here, your minions in here, that other minion builders can buy from you. Now, the idea here is, you know, you got to have a good proxy, and over time, I've got Keith Hernandez. He's on Jarvie. He's on Session Splitter. I've got several different social setups for him, but I probably won't sell Keith because I have a lot of time and invested in Keith. He's one of my avatars. He's also a minion that I use to do posting. But I've got some other ones that like this Joanne Chang, that she has a Facebook account and a Twitter account. And I'm not very social or active on either one, but I know she has a couple groups. So if I decided to, if I wanted to sell that, I could just go in here, hit edit, and come up here to Wayne. I'm probably in the wrong place, right?
You know where you you know where you were going to click edit?
Yep.
Go back to my minions.
My minion. And go back to Joanne.
Yeah. And go to the add to
Add to
market.
marketplace. I knew it was I knew it was easy. I just forgot which easy it was. So this is where you put in a description about Joanne. Like she has one Facebook account. She's 2 years old with 250 followers. Twitter old with 500. I know she has over 500 followers. And there is a verified SIM card that I'll sell with it. Okay. And I'll put in here, it's $10 per month. I think it's T-Mobile or one of them. So I just put in the basic information that I would tell somebody about it. Joanne, I've got 2 years worth of work in her. Probably let's put it at $9.95. Okay. And right now we don't charge for it. You can list it completely. You sell it. You don't pay us anything. Eventually we may have a listing fee, a small listing fee, but now she is in the marketplace. Okay. Now I'll have to take this down later because I will have somebody buy that from me if I leave it up there. So you can, put a good description in here. And this is, if they have a Minion Builders account, everybody has access to this marketplace. You can buy and sell all day long, and you keep all the money on it. Okay, so let's take it one step further. Let's say that somebody wanted to buy it, and let me do this. I'm not going to push Joanne out of my account. I'm going to go back to Minions, and let's go back to page 7 and Robert Carr. Okay, so let's suppose that I had gone in, I've sold Robert Carr, and I wanted to transfer. Now we have a Minion transfer feature also, where you have your own private key. You would share it with whoever is going to buy this account from you. Okay, they would come in and add a creator and then put in that private key you just gave them. Okay, so Wayne already has my private key, so I would just transfer that minion. It says, are you sure? Because once you're sure, it leaves your database. You don't have any access to that person anymore. It is in Wayne's database now. Now, he will probably transfer it back to me later, but it's real easy to set this up, and it's one-way transfer. So your seller can't force that account, that profile out of here.
I'll sell it to you for $20.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of, to me, is having a marketplace, having the ability to transfer, is it takes it beyond just being a database. Because if you put in all the time and effort, these social minions are valuable. In fact, I told somebody the other day, we were talking about minions, and he said, well, what are you selling for? I said, well, if I've got 40 hours worth of work tied up in a minion, I'm not going to sell it for $40. I'm going to probably price it at $1,500 to $2,500, because they do have value, especially if they have Facebook groups and an Instagram account, even an Instagram business account. So you could set up a LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, just think it. And I try to tell everybody, think of this as not, you're just building a fake person. You're building a real person. They just happen to not be a live person. And you want a photo, you want some bios, you want some variations of the profile shots. So any questions at this point that we could show you inside of the dashboard itself?
Incidentally, the software was called Heritage.
Heritage. Okay.
One that animates static pictures.
Yeah, and it's a free little animation. I mean, it's really kind of neat. So you can go in and change your settings. This is where you would create your sub account. Okay, so you can have a VA attached to this is my test account that I'm using, but you would put in your VA here. You just come in and add. I need to put her back in here. And I'll give it her fake email. I've got to change this later. And is she allowed to create minions? Yes, I want Nita to be able to create minions. Can she transfer? This is the question you're going to have to ask yourself is, do you trust her or trust him as your VA to be able to transfer? Because they could sit there and build minions and then transfer them out, or they could transfer out your own minions that you've created. So, you know, you might want to consider that where you want to be the only one with transfers. Do you want them to manage all your groups, or do you want just E, C, D, and B groups? And then you hit update. Okay. So this is going to be sent over to Nita, and she'll get it at her Gmail. And then once she confirms, she can log in with her username and email and access any of my minions on this test account version of mine. Okay. So that's how you add your VAs in there. We talked about Marketplace, and all our software is anytime you need to see where we're at. We're a SaaS application, nothing to download, it's all online. This is the version, and then we tell you what we've done on each version. And we're about once or twice a week, we're doing some type of updates to it. Just little things that help things look better and run better. Okay. And then the support systems in here. And remember, I talked about the credits. Each of the profiles are to build on the pro level credits. I think it's either 1 or 2 credits, Wayne. Let's go back to Joanne here.
If you edit and go into images, there's an example tab.
Yeah. If I go down here, here's all the little images that we made. Like this is a little cartoonify.
You see the little gray button there, show examples.
Yeah. Okay. So some of them are 2 credits, some are 4 credits. Caricature is 4 credits, but it kind of gives you an idea of what they do. And remove background is 1 credit, Halloween 5. So anyway, if you run out of credits, they're not that expensive. You can buy additional credits, 200 additional credits for $7, 500 for $15. And it depends on what level you get. I think the top level we sell is the agency, which you get 3,000 credits. I'm starting out at 3,000 credits, and even in my test dashboard, I've only used 65. So it's, you know, we have to pay for them, so we just kind of split the cost up for everybody. Okay, so let's go back to the slideshow here. And I want to continue on because there's some other things that I want to share with you. Go back to present. Okay, so you get the customer avatar. That's kind of business of the box. If you're a marketing agency, one is either you could sell the avatar, the avatar profile that you built for the customer, or you can throw it in as a bonus. You know, they get a customer avatar to go with the marketing profiles that you're doing for them. Lightcell Training. A lot of people are asking, well, how do you build these social profiles? Well, there's several different ways. You know, at some point in time, if you're starting with your own PC and you're building a social profile, you can get about 4 profiles, 2 on Chrome, 2 on Firefox, before they'll start saying, you can't use the same computer to build, multiples. So what we did is we get Amazon Lightcell servers. I think they're $10 or $12 a month, not very expensive. They're all online, and you go through remote desktop to them, and they have their own IP address. They're basically a blade server, I think is what they're called. but they're in the United States, they're in Europe, all across the world. So you can have a Lightcell server in, like I'm in near Dallas, but I could have one in London, or I could have one in Paris. So if I'm building a Minion in Europe, I want a Paris Lightcell server. So again, it's $12, but I can access it from remote desktop, and it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. They're all going to see that that person is coming from a IP address in Paris, France. So that's how we build our international profiles through Lightcell servers. There's also mobile proxies that you can use with tools like Session Splitter, where they're browser emulators. So that, you know, once you start building these out and you want a whole bunch of them, there's different ways that you can do it. We have a complete training course on how to do this. And we did it. It was a 6-week boot camp called Minion Builders Boot Camp. And we include that with the pro and agency license. So you also get the marketplace. Again, you can buy and sell minions. We just started it, so there's not a lot of activity yet on it. If you want this, and I think if you're building any type of social persona, this is a great deal. It's semanticmastery.com/minion builders. And we have a 20% coupon for Bradley's folks, is Semantic 20. And we've got, it's a very limited coupon, it expires in 72 hours. But let's take a look at the actual sales page so we can, I'll just bring it up real quick here. Make sure we got all the questions answered from the sales page. Okay. So here's kind of the summary of the benefits you get with everything. You get the profile. We also, failed to mention, we have a built-in image editor. So if you want to put like a lower third tag on them or put some light flares, it's got several different filters in there, kind of like an Instagram image editor. We've got that built in. You can organize everything. You can export it to a CSV file. So if you wanted to back up your entire database, you could do that. Or you could just back up different groups. We have team management through the groups settings. And I'll just kind of jump through here. But it takes about 10 seconds to make a persona. And coming through here. So included as the bonuses, we have the avatar maker, the QR code, and then the minion transfer feature. That comes as a special bonus for you. And so here's what we got is we have the standard. These are all one-time purchases. You never have to buy it again. How many minions can you put in there? You can have up to 50 on the professional. It's unlimited on agency. Images per minion, we give you 100 here, 50 here. Social accounts per minion, 20. And this is 20 Facebooks, 20 Twitters. So you've got plenty of room here, including even over here. You can tunify, you got image editor. So this is what I want to look at. The pro image credits is you get 1,000 with the pro and you get 3,000 with the agency. So you got plenty of credits in there. With the agency, well, with the pro and agency, you get the Minion Builders Bootcamp. This is, I'm going to take you step by step how I build my minions and how I've been successful in keeping the reverification request down. That's the most important part, because if you're spending all your time reverifying your minions, you're not going to get any work done, because all the automation is kind of tied up to, they have to be active. They can't be suspended or banned. So you got to turn off all your automations going in if your accounts are kind of banned or suspended at the time. So anyway, take a look at that. You know, we have a satisfaction guarantee. Try it out for 14 days. You don't like it, just let me know. I'll give you a full refund on it. And what does a lifetime license mean? It means it's the lifetime of the software. It's not Wayne's lifetime or my lifetime or anybody else's. It's the lifetime of the software. Yeah. How long does it take to create an account? Literally less than a minute. You saw how long it took me to create an account on there. Does this build the social accounts? I wanted to point this out to you is, guys, we believe a manual build is the safest route. So we don't do the manual builds. We don't do auto building bots. And we talked about this early on. But we needed a database to keep track of everything. That's why this was set up. We needed a persona maker so we don't have to spend time going to 5 different online software to get demographics, bios, checking the street address. You know, that shouldn't even be a thought. Building the profile pictures, manipulating the profile pictures. If you were to do everything that I just did outside of what this software, it would literally take you at least an hour to do this. And that's if you knew all the little software pieces that we're using for it. And guys, you're probably not going to want to sit around for an hour, 2 hours and build these. You know, let the Minion builder build it for you and keep track of everything for you. So anyway, I just want to kind of show you, this is, you know, most people are getting either the pro or agency. I mean, standard, you could still build minions with the standard. There's no, you know, there's nothing, you just choose whichever package fits your budget best and just go from there. Okay. Now let's see. Okay.
Diamond, what was the, oh, there it is, Semantic 20. I'll just put that in the chat for everyone.
Yep.
So Damon, I think you mentioned this before, but there is not a like built-in browser integration with like a profile keeper. Is that correct? You'd have to use something like Session Box or Session Splitter or Ghost Browser or something like that, correct?
Yes, that's correct. There is no direct integration with these.
Okay.
And we have talked to Garrett at Session Splitter about doing an API, and it's probably Q1 of next year that we'll actually build one where, you know, you can pass the information over to it, but it's still not going to go out and autobot it. You know, you'll have it in the browser settings so that you can go in and build it yourself.
Okay.
And there's some other ones that are coming out. And that's why, you know, we don't want to specifically recommend one particular browser rotator because, you know, things change. And that's why we kind of like the Amazon Lightcell server is it is a machine and it's just dedicated to you. So if somebody is on Session Splitter, and this happened to Sendwire, is Sendwire got footprinted, and we were sending that. This is really how I got into building minions. Is I had probably at the time about 300 Twitter accounts and a couple hundred Facebook accounts, and I was sending all the social engagement or all the social postings were coming from Sendwire, and Sendwire's was footprinted, and I started getting accounts banned, re-verified. I mean, and it was because there was a couple of bad apples sending stuff through Sendwire, spamming the social network. And they said, we're just going to shut down this extension. And that's what happened.
Wait a minute. You mean some SEOs were spamming? Come on, Damon.
I know that's hard to believe.
This is why we can't have nice things, you know?
Yes.
So another question would be your Minion Builder Bootcamp. Is that set up to where, for instance, if somebody picked it up and went and gave it like essentially gave access to a VA, that they'd be able to learn how to build these profiles up by just going through the bootcamp?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, that is one of the primary reasons we did the bootcamp, because I wanted a platform to train my VAs instead of me doing it manually.
Yeah, sure. And how long has the marketplace been open?
Less than a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I expect there will be a lot more available in the coming weeks, months.
Yes.
In there.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's another group that we're probably going to do a webinar with in the month of November, that the person that is going to host it said, My guys are probably not going to be in the mode of building, but they would certainly be in the mode of buying.
Yeah.
And so, we kind of want to get some builders in there first so we can get some buyers in there.
So what you're saying is people have the opportunity to, I guess, earn back their investment probably within the next few weeks if they get in and start building.
Yes. Yes.
Very good.
And I would say, just for realistic terms, is if you go in there and you completely build one and you build the Facebook account, you get the Twitter set up and everything, is me as a buyer, is I would want you to season it a little bit, for 2-3 months.
Sure.
Making it active, and if all you did with that minion is once a day, you just went in and scrolled up and down Twitter and then liked a few things. You went into Facebook, did the same thing on your timeline, liked a few things, joined some groups, make it look like an active person. That's the one that has value, not just one that you went and made 12 pictures and, set up one Facebook account.
Yeah. Yeah. Some activity in the profiles is really important.
And we teach in the boot camp is I do go over Jarvie. I spend a full, I think it's almost 2 hours on Jarvie. We use that for social engagement. Is Jarvie will do a lot of the things that you would do manually, scrolling up and down a timeline or clicking into links, liking and sharing. And so I will use that for my Tumblr accounts, my Twitter accounts. That it's perfect for those. And even on Instagram, is you can use it as a scroller, and it just shows that person went in, looked at all these pictures, and then they exited, just like a real person would do.
Yeah. So I see a question coming from Steve. Says, sorry, I don't understand. Is this for GMB accounts? Why do I need to create minions? And I'll kind of start answering that, Steve. No, this is not specifically for GMB accounts. However, having a profile that has been established with a persona essentially that acts as a real person, that would be actually a really good candidate for registering GMBs as opposed to a brand new account. Like if that, and I know that because I do a ton of GMB stuff. And one of the things that I've been doing to have to create new GMB accounts when I'm trying to register a new GMB profile is I oftentimes will set up Google Workspace on essentially pay for Google Workspace for a Gmail account so that I have, I'm paying, and it gives a little, it's essentially a kind of like a validator, right? Like and that's what minion builders will do by having real social engagement. Here's the thing, like I'll go out and spend $6 a month on a Google Workspace account so that it gives me a little bit more of authority. It gives me a credit card on file with Google so that when I go to register a GMB, it's more valid. But if you were to do the same thing with one of these minions that has been built out that already has a social history, like a social profile with activity, engagement, true friends and followers and all that kind of stuff, then those are, remember, Google and Facebook and all, I don't care what they say, they're all sharing data. So if you have all of that, it's a lot less likely that you're going to run into any issues with GMB when you have a well-built profile, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and I like your idea of going ahead and getting a workspace. We recommend on ours is to get a Google voicemail and use the voicemail, even as an answering service, attach it to one of your websites. And like you said, it just validates that account so much easier because you're using a Google property kind of against themselves, but you're showing that you're using either an email or a voice number. So yeah, you can use it for GMB, definitely. What we use it for is to do social traffic generation. Is anything that you can do to take somebody out of social into your website. And we use it with good content, content that people want to read, not fake content. But, I use Q because they manually select articles. I use Feedly because I manually select them out of there. And we use RSS Master because we have good RSS feeds that have interesting articles. And so we will pass all this information through to a website, and then the website is the distribution source to the social networks. And so your person, your Cynthia Lazo, or whatever her name is she would be attached to a website, and she would be the person posting through an automation source like Social Bee or IFTTT networks or Buffer. So that would be her account that she's posting. She's doing it automatically, but it has a face, a person's face attached to that post. Makes it real interesting for your Facebook groups. You could do it on a personal timeline, but if you're talking about something like, let's say plumbing, is you may not want a bunch of plumbing articles on your personal timeline, but you would want it in a Facebook group talking about do-it-yourself plumbing hacks.
Yeah. Yeah, and also some of the other things is, you know, building profiles is the way that, you know, it's part of, for Syndication Academy, for example, we recommend just purchasing done for you networks, because we have VAs that we've trained on how to go out and build profiles and, you know, for the networks and all that kind of thing. But in part because it's been so time consuming and difficult to build them on your own. But this is one of the things that, you know, makes that a hell of a lot easier, right? A lot more efficient to do it. So I think there's a lot of value in that as well. Plus another idea would be, you know, creating kind of geographic related profiles, right? That could be used for, you know, check your local laws, but could be used for reviews, right? Could be used to post reviews.
Yeah, that's one of the little secrets I share in the, if you get the agency package, you're going to get Minion Mastermind. And guys, I almost hate to admit this, but part of the Minion Mastermind is how do you make money with your minions? But one of the chapters is how do you eat really well with your minions? Well, you do Yelp reviews on restaurants, and you have 10 or 15 minions that are Dallas based, and you notify you talk to a restaurant owner and say, hey, I can get you 5 reviews. Now, you're not supposed to do this, but you know, if you did this on Google reviews or Yelp reviews, you could add 5 positive reviews on somebody's restaurant. And if they have some negative reviews, the positive kind of offset them. And they will, sometimes they'll pay you in cash, but a lot of times they pay you in food credits. So when I had a lot of active minions in the Dallas area, I don't live in Dallas anymore, I'm just outside of it, but I had a couple of high rated Yelp reviewers, and they were fake people.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that can be done when you have well-built profiles that you can do with them, that's part of the reason why, you know, I don't have as many as I would like, is because it is so time consuming. It's hard to keep track of all that stuff, but this definitely will make it a lot easier. And I'm actually anxious to get access to this too, Damon, because I got a VA right now that I'm underutilizing, that I could, during their downtime, I could have them working on building up profiles. So this is definitely something I'm going to end up using as well.
Yep.
So, well, I don't see any other, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I don't see any other questions coming in, guys. If you have any, go ahead and post them now.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Damon.
No, that's what I was about to say is, you know, give us any questions that you have. And otherwise, you know, we'll probably going to be ending the call shortly here.
Okay.
And we're going to leave this coupon up for 72 hours. And, you know, it's a good 20% off coupon. And, you know, you can still buy it after that. Just go through the semanticmastery.com/minion builders. But if there's no more questions, I'm
not seeing any.
Okay. Well, great. Bradley, thank you for letting us join you on the call here today. I've enjoyed sharing some of this information, and hopefully, you know, even if you're not a buyer of this, you know that the better you define your minion, your persona, the easier it is to create a storyline that goes with them, and also to know what to post to this person. Mm-hmm. It also helps you when you're writing sales copy, you know, like we talked about. So keep in mind, is fully flesh out a minion. Don't just, well, I've got one profile picture, I know what to do with it. There was a question about Simon Dadia's Chameleon. Guys, I've got the new version of Chameleon, but I haven't plugged it in. The version he had last year
Was unusable.
Unusable. That
Yes.
was the word. Yes.
Yes.
So I can't recommend yes or no on the new version. That's the way I would have to answer it. Ones I have had success is the is Session Splitter and using the Lightcell servers.
Yeah.
And we also in the boot camp, we talk about proxies and we talk about SIM cards. There are virtual phone numbers that you can use. Google Voice, I guess Facebook and Google got together on this one too, is I used to be able to use Google Voice to verify all my phone numbers, verify all my social accounts. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, you couldn't do it in Europe 5 years ago, but you can't do it in the US anymore. You might get lucky once in a while, but at some point in time, you're not going to be able to use that number to verify. So what Wayne and I have done is we have found SIM cards, and I'll give you a little hint before we go here, is if you go on Amazon and you look for these GPS, they're like children GPS watches, and they recommend little SIM cards to go with them, and they're like 100 text and 100 minutes and 100 texts for $5 a month. You have a phone number. It is a real phone number. I put it in an Android. I've got this little SIM card holder that holds 12 different SIM cards. I just punch a button and I have a new phone number, or I'm using one of those 12 phone numbers. And that's what we use as our phone number verifications. They're real phone numbers, paid monthly. And then we're also using residential proxies or mobile proxies. Now with the Lightcell server, we don't even worry about proxies because they have their own IPs with it. But you want to make it look like a real person with a real phone number and a real location.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you say that because I actually just bought last week an unlocked phone from eBay, which I'm waiting on it to be delivered so that I could get SIM cards from Straight Talk Wireless so that I could have some phone numbers, because I was having some issues with re-verifying some of my own accounts that I have, like some of my own, persona accounts, because of what you just said. Google Voice is not working for re-verification now in a lot of cases. And so I actually got on with Straight Talk Wireless on chat and was like, hey, I need to know, like, if I change SIM cards, can I have, new numbers? And they were like, yeah, but it has to be an unlocked phone and blah, blah, blah. So I just went through all that process of getting set up for that. So it's
that's
something you want to do.
That's things that we talk about. I have a recommendation. I got this Android black box. It's like an indestructible phone. You could toss it out of a building, I think, and it wouldn't break. But it has a side mount SIM card insert, and we have this little thing. It's a 12-in-1 SIM card reader, and you just plug your 12 SIMs in there, and there's a little punch button in there to which SIM do you want to use, and I have them labeled A through K, and that's why you saw the groups that A, B, C.
Yeah,
they all relate to a phone number of some type,
Gotcha.
and so if you're going to be serious about it, you've got to have the right, and it's going to cost a little bit of money. But if you're selling a domain, if you're selling a Minion and you can offer up that SIM card that goes with it, of course, you may have to move some other ones off of the SIM card or sell them a package. Say, hey, I've got 5 social accounts I'll sell you in it, and they're all attached to this one SIM card. And here's the proxy or whatever you're using. So the thing that the buyer would want to do is get the access, get the SIM card, and re-verify these from a new IP address. And that's the safest way, is just do a phone verification as soon as they move IPs.
Yeah. There was another question from Nigel asking, what are the upkeep costs for maintaining great profiles? Just approximate cost.
Nigel, that's a good question. If you or your VAs doing this, my upkeep is basically I pay for a SIM card that's $5 a month, and they can hold. I've got on one SIM card, I got 6 people, but safest way is just say 4 people per card, and I'm paying $5 a month with the straight talk. It's probably either $8 or $10 a month.
Okay.
So there's a fee there. On my Lightcell server, I'm paying $12 a month, and with Session Splitter, I think they have a package at $29 a month, but you got to have proxies to go with it. But my Lightcell server, I can get up to 8 people on a server, because I try to do 2 on Chrome, 2 on Firefox. I can get 4 on Edge, and these are just different browsers, but they're from the same IP, and I try to get, you know, either 1 or 2 phone numbers per Lightcell server. So that's kind of, you know, think in terms of how would you sell it, how would you package it down the road, is instead of just selling one, sell 4 profiles. They're all to the same proxy, all to the same, or they're all sitting on a Lightcell server, all sitting on the same phone number. So maybe a family of socials. That's going to bring you more money. So those are my basic costs. It's not very expensive. The other one is Jarvee. I pay $79 a month on Jarvee, but Jarvee I could run 100 accounts socially engaging, you know, doing the scrolling the timeline and liking and sharing. Good question though.
And if you're in the UK, in the boot camp, I mentioned a nice little tip for getting SIMs in the UK for £10 one-off, and you don't have to keep paying monthly. And it's kind of like when you buy one, they'll send you another one to give to a friend. And you think, that's great, because then I can use that for another Minion. And because you've used that, they then send you another one. And they even send the original person another one because they got rid of it.
Huh.
But you got to be in the UK. And I'll talk about that in the boot camp.
Very cool.
Yep. So guys, thank you for joining us on the call. Hopefully you picked up some tips on how to do this. You know, and I tell everybody, I said, the Minion database is kind of bonus. If you want to learn how to do it, the boot camp, we were charging $497 when it first came out for that 6-week boot camp. Now, we took out the limits so you can watch it as fast as you want or as slow as you want. But we spaced it out over 6 weeks. There's a lot of content in there about how to do all this. And Wayne and I have been building Minions for quite a while. And, you know, when we're doing RSS Masher and RSS feed, it is duplicate content. We're not going to try to hide it from anybody. RSS feeds are duplicate content. You could spin the title, you could spin the content, make it slightly different. But for the most part, you're competing against the original author of the content. And what we use it for is we want social traffic to replace what we would normally get on organic. And social traffic, that's why you have to have good images, good titles, and good feeds. So, you know, we use our social minions to create social traffic for our websites.
Well, and on top of that, if you guys aren't, you know, anybody, this is a semantic mastery audience, so you all ought to know activity, relevance, trust, and authority. Well, activity, if you're sending activity signals through, like, you know, well-built persona profiles, those are actually SEO signals. Yep. So, I mean, in addition to sending real traffic to your offers or whatever, which is always good because it has the potential to convert. But my point is, like, those are also SEO signals. Those are great SEO signals, activity signals. So referral traffic. I mean, we just did a webinar maybe 2 weeks ago now with Michael Bose talking about CT manipulation, click-through manipulation as an SEO tactic. And that absolutely works. Well, if you're sending real engagement traffic or traffic through social profiles and such, so it's referral traffic, that's one of the ways that I use the CT bots, is to send traffic through a social profile or through a press release or something like that to my target URL. So again, driving traffic from Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and things like that to your target URLs for SEO purposes, those are huge, huge signals.
Yep. And in fact, you know, to take that one step further, I didn't even mention, you got Google accounts. Every one of these minions would have a Google account. Mm-hmm. And that means that they all have a YouTube account. You'll have to sign up for the YouTube account. So you could, if you've got 20 minions, you could move the needle on a video.
Absolutely.
They could watch the entire thing. They can comment, so keep that in mind. Is there's things that you can do with your own minions for your own purposes. If you have an Amazon book or an Amazon product, you could, in theory, I won't say it in practice, but in theory, you could have 20 purchases of your book, which means you could have 20 verified purchase reviews.
Yeah.
Well, you start moving the needle with 25 verified purchase reviews. Now you're starting to kind of move your book up into the bestseller for, a unique, very unique category. So.
Well, thank you, Damon. We appreciate having you, both you and Wayne, on. And, I'll be reaching out to you after the webinar to chat with you a little bit further, but we certainly appreciate it, guys. This is something that, again, as we continue to evolve with what we're doing in online marketing, I think having kind of bona fide, and I'm using air quotes, like genuine profiles is becoming more and more important by the day. So.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye for now.
Everybody. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye.